Alright, this is the homework help video, Appendix A Homework. Let's start with A-30. So I'm going to solve some of these, and then you can solve the other half of the problem. That's the goal here. A30 says write the simplified expression for each expression mat below. So look in the positive region for A. We've got 2x tiles, so I'm going to write that as 2x plus 2 unit tiles plus 2. Still in the plus region, but that's a -1 tile. Now we go down to the minus region, so I write a minus sign, minus normal 2. Okay, so if you notice, we have 2 plus -1. That's going to be 1. And then what you can do is flip these guys to the positive region. You don't have to do that, but you can. So that subtracting 2 is the same thing as adding -2. 1 and -2, we're going to have a leftover -1. So your final answer here is going to be 2x plus -1. You could take it a step further and write that as 2x minus 1. Either one's fine. You can try B. I'll do C. C, we've got an x squared tile, just one of them. That's in the positive region. Plus, we've got -2. Those are white. White is negative. -2 unit tiles in that region. Then we're going to subtract a y tile, and we're going to subtract 2 unit tiles. Okay, so you don't have to do this step, but you can. I'm going to flip these to the positive region, so that gives us x squared plus -2 plus -y plus -2. Now you can see right away that -2 and -2, that's going to make -4, right? We're going to have -4 tiles. So I'm going to have x squared plus -y plus -4. And that's your answer. Now you can take it a step further. If you prefer, you can write it as x squared minus y minus 4. Okay, next, A-31. Simplify and combine like terms. Be careful, this one actually has 4 parts, A, B, C, D. So I will do A, I will do D. For part A, let's look for the x squared terms first. X squared is right here. There's only one of them, so nothing to do there. Next, we go for the x terms. We have a positive x, positive 2x, and a -x. So we're going to have 2x, 3x, 4x, and then take away 1x. 3 x's total, right? 4 x's minus an x for 3x. Last but not least, we have a constant, a number, and that's the only one. There's your answer. Part D. 4y squared. Let's look at the y squared terms first. I like to look at the squared terms first. And -2y squared. That negative sign belongs to that number. So if you have 4 and -2, that's going to make 2 y squared tiles. And then we have just a single xy term. So I'll rewrite that. It's positive, so that's plus. Then we have 20, subtract 3, add 10. So 20, subtract 3, add 10. That's going to be 17 plus 10, so that's going to be plus 27 down here. A32. It tells you to read the math notes box. That might be helpful. If you go to the packet, that is on page 11. I'm sorry, not 11. Page 7. Okay, so again, I'm just going to do half of them. I'll do A and D. 6 over x plus 9. Now, to evaluate, what you need to do is erase x and replace it with the number that they give you for x. So instead of 6 over x, it's 6 over 3. 6 over 3, that means divide. So that's going to be 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Add 9 onto that, and you're looking at 11. So you should get a number for your answer. Next, part D. We're going to put in -3 for x, and we're going to put in 8 for y. So let's look at this guy right here. 2. It's helpful to use parentheses. You should use parentheses when you evaluate. So -3 squared instead of x squared minus 8. So remember PEMDAS, we got to do the exponent first. Negative 3 squared, that's negative 3 times negative 3. And negative 3 multiplied by itself is positive 9. Negative times a negative is positive. I'm going to multiply next instead of subtract, PEMDAS. 2 times 9 makes 18. And 18 subtract 8, I don't need to keep writing these parentheses. 18 minus 8 is 10. So there's your answer. Okay, 33. This one has 2 parts, so I'll do part B. Which is greater, left or right? I like making these little tables. You should too. So on the left, I'm seeing some 0 pairs, but let me write it out as it is. We have x plus negative x plus negative 2, right? Negative 2. And then in the negative region, we subtract 2 tiles. On the right-hand side, we've got 2x plus negative x. And then in the negative region, take away x. So these make a 0 pair. Those are going to get dropped. These make a 0 pair. Those are going to get dropped. I'm also going to flip from the negative to the positive region. This is all going to be step 1. So these 0 pairs are gone, and we have negative 2 plus, when these come up to the plus region, it's now plus negative 2. Over here on the right, the 0 pair dropped out, so we have x plus, this gets flipped to become negative x. All right, now x plus negative x, a number plus its opposite, that's 0. Over here we have negative 2, adding on negative 2, that makes negative 4, like 4 white tiles, right? So you can see that the right is greater. 0 is bigger than a negative number. (41), same deal. I'll do part A this time. Left, right, I like these little tables. You should make one too. So on the left side, we've got 2 x tiles. We've got plus 1 unit tile, and then plus negative 2 tiles. And then down in the negative region, we're subtracting 1, we're subtracting x. On the right-hand side, I see an x tile. I see just 1 positive tile, and I'm going to add on to that 3 negative tiles. On the bottom in the negative region, subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I like making 0 pairs first. So those are going to 0 out. These are going to 0 out, and that's going to be it. At the same time, I'm going to flip these from negative to positive. So on the left-hand side, what do we have left? 2x plus negative 1. This flips to become plus negative 1. This flips to become plus negative x. On the right-hand side, we now have x plus negative 2. And then these 6 tiles become negative, so it's plus negative 6. All right, looking at the right-hand side, negative 2, negative 6. That's going to be negative 8. You can think about 8 white tiles on your mat. Over here, we've got 2x and negative x. So if you think about it, 2 x tiles, those are the shaded ones, and 1 negative tile, these are going to 0 out, right? So all that's left when those make a 0 pair, because they cancel each other out, is x. X, and then we have 2 white tiles. So we have x subtract 2, x subtract 8, and left side's greater. Why is that? Well, if you have a number and you subtract 2, that's always bigger than subtracting 8, right? If you subtract 8, you're taking more away from the number, so it's going to get smaller. So this is smaller because you're subtracting more. 44. Let's do it. Are all of her moves legal? So let's look at this move right here. This is flip from negative to positive. Legal. But she also does Sylvia also does another thing, zero pair, which is legal. She removes them. Okay, now let's look at this one over here. She makes a zero pair, but it's not legal. Why is it not legal? Because the tiles have to be in the same region. Like this one, they're both in the plus region. This one, one's in the plus region, one's in the negative region. So you're not allowed to do that. That's bad. So it's not legal because tiles are in different regions. If you think about it on paper, that's kind of like saying -1 subtract 1 equals 0. -1 subtract 1 equals 0. And that's not true. -1 subtract 1 is actually equal to -2. Okay, make sure you talk about this move, 44. You can do that one. On to the next one. 51. Which one's greater? Let's do B. Make your little table. Okay, on the left side we've got -2x tiles. We have 2 tiles plus 4 little negative unit tiles. In the subtraction region, we've got -1 tile, but also -1. Right side, -x, and then we have +2 plus -2. +2 plus -2. Down here on the bottom, we have subtracts an x tile, subtracts 2 unit tiles, and subtracts a -1 unit tile. I like doing the zero pairs first. Cleans things up a lot. Those are zero pairs. These are zero pairs. 0. So a lot of this stuff zeroes out. And then on the right side, I'm going to flip these to the positive region. So let's see. On the left side, we've got -2x plus -2. And on the right side, we've got -x plus -1, because that flips upside down. And I'm sorry, this x tile is not a zero pair, so that comes up too. That's plus -x. So combining like terms one more time, we've got -2x plus -2. On the right side, there's going to be 2 -x tiles, and here we go. Let's see here. So one of the legal moves is you're allowed to turn everything over. So you're allowed to just flip every sign if you want. And I'm going to do that. This is going to become 2x. This is going to become 2. This is going to become 2x. And this is going to become 1. That is a legal move. Flip everything upside down, which we'll learn about in class. Okay, now this side is actually greater because you're taking a number, you're multiplying it by 2, and then you add 2. And why is that? Well, look at the right side. You're only adding 1. On the left side, you're adding 2 onto it. Right side, you're only adding 1. That's going to be smaller because you're adding less. And that's 51. Make sure you do A. And let's check out 53. We've got A, B, C, D. So I'll go ahead and do the one with the fractions. And then I'll do C. Why not? So the instructions say to simplify and then record your work. All right, so we've got 6x minus 4x minus 2x. So we've got 6x, -4x tiles and -2x tiles. That's going to be -6, right? -6 white x tiles. And then let's look at our numbers. We've got 2 minus 1 minus 3 plus 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then we have 1 subtract 3 plus 2. 1 subtract 3 is -2. And then if you add 2 onto that, well, that's a zero pair right there. So that actually becomes 0. And if you notice, that's a zero pair too. So it's just 0 plus 0, or 0. All right, next one, D, the one with the fraction. So something to remember is that 2/3 plus 1/3 that's equal to 1. If you take 2/3 of something and 1/3 of something, you have a one whole number. So 2/3 of x and 1/3 of x, that's just going to make 1x. Then you have negative 3y and 2y. Think about it with tiles if that helps you. We've got 3 white tiles and 2 shaded tiles. These are going to zero out. Those will zero out together. Those will zero out together. So the only thing we have left is one white tile, or one negative y tile. Now, the 1 in front of x, that's the invisible 1. You don't have to write that 1 right there. That's optional. And instead of writing plus negative y, you can write x minus y. So either or. 55, calculator check. Use your scientific calculator. I'll do half of these. G, 4 minus 5 minus 2. Make sure you subtract on the top of the fraction first. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. And then go ahead and divide that by negative 2. Now negative divided by negative, that's a positive. So it's positive a half, or 0.5. All right, let's try C. C, we've got multiplication, a number next to another number, you multiply, and addition. So don't forget about PEMDAS. 17 times negative 23, that's going to be negative 391. And then you're going to add 2 onto that. Now because we're adding 2, again, use your calculator. We're going more towards 0, so the number actually becomes negative 389. B, make sure you do inside of the parentheses first. 3 minus 5 is negative 2, and 6 plus 2 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. Negative times positive stays negative. And let's say, let's do E. Negative 4 times negative 2.25. That's going to be something times negative 10. So let me get out my calculator. It's going to be 9. And negative times negative is positive 9. And then 9 times negative 10, that's going to be 90. Remember, positive times negative stays negative. You should be practicing these on your calculator and do the rest. 61. You've got A, B, C, so I'll do 2 of these. I'll let you guys do A for the equation. It's okay to just draw one of these guys. So the first thing we should do is, I see a negative x here. Let's put an x tile on each side of the mat, or equation. If I put an x tile on each side, I make a 0 pair. So those can cross out. On this side, if I'm adding an x tile, 3x plus x is 4x plus 7 is negative 1. Okay, now we need to get x alone. So something else we can do is let us put negative 7 little white tiles on each side, if you're thinking about the tiles. But to keep it balanced, we got to do that on each side. And the reason we did that is, look, we have a 0 pair. So positive 7, negative 7, those are gone. And all that's left is 4x. Now we have negative 1 tile from before and negative 7 tiles. So if you count all these up, that's going to be negative 8. So you need to divide these negative 8 tiles into 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many tiles are in each group? 2. And because it's the white side or the negative side of the tile, x is equal to negative 2. Now it does say to check your answer, so let's check. We go back to the original equation. And let's plug in negative 2 for x. Remember to use parentheses. So I'm erasing the x and I'm putting in negative 2 with parentheses. Erasing the x, putting in negative 2 with parentheses. There's a negative sign there. So don't forget about that negative sign that's outside of the parentheses. 3 times 2 is 6. Positive times negative stays negative. negative 6. If you add 7 onto that, if you add 6 onto that, you're at 0. So if you add 7 onto that, it takes you to 1. Okay, double negative, negative, negative 2. Those negatives cancel each other out. Makes a big plus sign. So that's going to be 2 minus 1, which is 1. Check. All right, part C. Both sides match on that one, so x equals 2 is negative 2 is the solution. I'm going to draw a little equation mat for part C. Has the double equal sign down the middle. Okay, so negative x minus 3. Remember, x minus 3 is inside the parentheses, so that's going to look something like this. This is x, and then negative 3. So let's go ahead and build that first. Because there's a negative sign out front, I'm going to put that in the negative region. That's how these work with parentheses. Build it outside the mat first, then put it into the correct region. On the right-hand side, I have a negative x tile. So it's a minus sign. There's the x tile. And then plus 3. So check this out. I'm sorry, negative x tile. That's a mistake. So if I have a negative x tile, that is like that. My mistake was when you're in the negative region and you put a white tile, that's like saying negative, negative x. You have a negative for the negative region, and then you have a negative for the negative x tile. So that's not what I was trying to do. That was a mistake. Sorry. What I was trying to do was saying subtract x. Subtract just a normal x. Okay. So if we flip these guys up into the positive region, on the left-hand side, we have negative x minus 3 to start, and on the right-hand side, we have negative x plus 3. So on the left-hand side, this becomes negative x, and these three guys flip to become plus 3. On the left-hand side, this x tile flips to become negative x, and the right-hand side stays the same, plus 3. So they're the same. And sorry for that mistake. Okay, 62. 62, we've got 2, so I'll do part B. You can do A. X. We have one x tile, so let's make our little table. Right, x on the left, we have 2 in the positive region, plus 2. We have 2 in the negative region. I'm sorry, 2 negative tiles. 2 negative tiles in the plus region. So plus negative 2. And then we're going to take away 2. Minus 2 normal tiles. On the right-hand side, we've got 2 plus negative 3 tiles minus, got a negative x tile down there, minus, you've got 2 tiles down there, and minus, we have a negative 1 tile. So that's how you write that. Okay. 0 pair, those are going to go. 0 pair. Crossing off all the 0 pairs. And what's left after I flip everything up to the top, to the plus region? We've got x on the left, plus, these are going to become negative 2. On the right, we've got negative 1. This x is going to become a positive x, and this is going to become plus another negative 1. Now, if we have a negative 1 and a negative 1 together, those collectively, it's going to be 2 little white tiles. So collectively, that makes negative 2. Same. So you can say both sides equivalent, if you like. All right, 64. This one is a 4-parter. So I'll help you out with half of these. And I'm going to do B and C. You can do the other ones. Simplify. This is really tricky with a negative sign. So just think about these tiles being in the negative region. So we've got 16x squared minus 4x plus 5. So 16x squared is in the negative region. So when we flip it to the positive region, that's negative 16x squared. Negative 8x tiles, those are in the negative region. So when you flip them to the positive region, it becomes plus 8x. A lot of people think about it as distributing the negative sign. Negative 16x squared, and then this thing goes to the negative 8x, and two negatives make plus 8x. But either way you want to think about it, it's the same. Notice right away that for the x squared terms, they make a zero pair. 16x squared and negative 16x squared. For our x terms, we've got 8x and negative 4x, so that's 4x. And our numbers are 5 plus 1, that's going to be 6. Part C. Again with the negative sign, so you can either distribute it to each number or think about it like algebra tiles. 28x, positive 28x is in the negative region. So if you want to add it, we flip it to become negative 28x. Negative 11y tiles are in the subtraction region, so when you flip them to the plus region, it becomes a plus. And again, if you distribute the negative sign, you get the same results. All right, so we've got 32x tiles, negative 28x tiles, that's a balance of 4x. Negative 7y tiles, 11y tiles, well, if you think about it, 11 minus 7, that's going to be 11, 4. So that's going to be positive 4, right? Because there's more positive tiles, so positive wins. This is going to be plus 71. This one is a 4-parter. So I'll do one of the mats, and I'll do one of the equations. All right, left side, right side. Left side, we've got 2x plus 3 minus x minus negative 1. Right side, we've got 2x plus negative 2 and just minus negative x. Be real careful there. That's a minus negative x. There's no zero pairs, so let me just flip these to the other region. 2x plus 3 plus negative x plus 1, right? Negative 1, that becomes a plus 1. On the right side, we've got 2x plus negative 2 plus x. This becomes plus x. Combined like terms, we have 2x tiles and a negative x tile. So think about a white tile being there and these becoming a zero pair. There's just one x left. 3 and 1, 3 unit tiles and 1 unit tile makes 4 unit tiles. Over here on the right, we've got 2x tiles and x tile. That's 3x tiles plus negative 2. Okay, now we are allowed to remove one x tile from each side. So just take away, I'm going to put it as subtract. We're going to be removing one x tile from each side, so that's going to go away. And 3x is now 2x. All right. We want to get x all alone, so we need to move this negative 2 onto the other side. We need to make a zero pair. So we'll put on 2 tiles on each side. That'll make us our zero pair. And now we have 6 tiles. So we need to take these 6 tiles and turn it into 2 groups. How many tiles are in each group? 3, right? So if you take 6 tiles and you make it into 2 groups, there's going to be 3 on each side. So x equals 3. And it says to check. It's kind of hard to check with algebra tiles unless you have the mat in front of you. So I'll avoid checking on this one, and you can too. I am going to check my answer for D though. Equation time. Draw the little chart, and let's see. We need to combine like terms first. On the right hand side, I'm seeing there's 2x and an x, so that's 3x. Okay, there's 3 x tiles on each side. So let's just remove the same amount of tiles from each side. Let's remove 3 x tiles from each side. So those are going to disappear, those are going to disappear, and what's left? Negative 2 and 6, right? Those are not equal to each other. This is supposed to be an equation, but those are not equal. So there's no solution because negative 2 is not equal to 6. And you can't check your work with no solution. There's no way to check your work, so that's it. Okay, these are nice because you just have to check. So let's check A. We're going to substitute negative 4 into this equation. 3 in parentheses negative 4 plus 7. So instead of 3 times x, it's 3 times negative 4. And then on the other side, we have negative 4 subtract 1. 3 times 4 is 12. Positive times negative stays negative. Okay, and then on the right side, negative 4 subtract 1, negative 5. Negative 12 plus 7. So if you think about it, you have negative 12 white tiles, and you have 7 positive tiles, if you want to think about it like that. It's going to make a bunch of 0 pairs, and all that's going to be left are negative 5 on the left-hand side. That's a solution. Let's look at C. Is that a solution? Let's plug in 2 and find out. Negative 3 times 2, add 5, plus 5 times 2, subtract 1, and we got 0. 3 times 2 is 6. Negative times positive, negative. So it's negative 6 plus 5 times 2 is 10. Both positive, and then subtract 1. Still have 0 on the right. Negative 6 plus 5. Well, negative 5 plus 5 is 0. So negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. All right, negative 1, add 10 onto that. That's going to be 9. It's 10 with a negative 1 tile, so that's 9. And then 9 subtract 1 is 8. Now that doesn't match to 0. So x equals 2 is not a solution. '82. Getting through it. All right, so this is going to be, oh, we're almost done. A equation. I'll do one, you can do the other one. I'll do A. And again, checking, it's kind of hard to check without a mat, so you don't have to check for these ones. But you could if you wanted to, in theory. Okay. On the left side, we've got 2 plus negative 2x minus 4 minus negative x. Be careful, that's minus negative x. On the right side, we've got 2 plus negative 3 minus negative 2 minus 2x. Let's see if we have any 0 pairs. We do. Those are going to 0. Those are going to 0. And that's it. So let's flip everything up and rewrite it. 2 plus negative 2x plus negative 4 plus x. That becomes x. All right, on the right side, we've got, what do we have left? We just have a negative 1, right? Negative 1 plus the unit tiles flip to become plus 2, and then x tiles flip to become negative 2x. Okay, so what can we do here? This x tile flips here and forms a 0 pair. So we only have a negative x left over. For the unit tiles, we have 2 and negative 4, and that's going to be plus negative 2. All right, on the right side, we've got negative 1 plus 2, so that's going to be 1. You want to think about it like this. We got 1 0 pair with a leftover positive tile, and then plus 2x. I'm sorry, plus negative 2x. Now I'm seeing a lot of negative signs, so I'm going to invoke the rule where we can just flip everything upside down. So this is going to be x, 2, this becomes negative 1, and this becomes plus 2x. For the x tiles, let's remove an x tile from each side. So this one's going to get removed, and 2x minus x there's just going to be one X tile left. And we need to make a 0 pair to get X all alone. So to make a 0 pair, we're going to put in a 1 tile. And now that's gone. So 2 plus 1 is 3. X is 3. Check it if you want, but you don't have to check the equation map. Alright, 4 equations. I'm going to check because these are actually equations. Make my little table. Let's combine like terms first. 3x minus 2x. That's going to be x. Remember your 0 pairs. So we have x, x, and x. 3 shaded tiles. And then we have 2 negative tiles. So we have a 0 pair, a 0 pair. Those are going to be gone, and what's left? Just a single shaded x tile, or x. 9 and negative 7, that's plus 2. X plus 2. Okay, let's go ahead and invoke the rule where we remove an x tile from each side. So x, if we take that away, we're going to have 2 on both sides. 2 is equal to 2, that's true. X is vanished, so this is one of those special cases. All real numbers are solutions. If it's true, it's all real numbers. If it's false, it's no solution. So that's going to be 83, and you can't really check that one. You could plug in a bunch of numbers, but I'm not going to do that. Let's do one you can actually check. So let's look at C. This has one solution. 2 is on the left. On the right, we have an X tile, shaded because it's positive, and we also have negative 2 X tiles. Those are the unshaded ones. So that means we're going to have 1 0 pair. Those are going to vanish. And what's left is just a single negative X tile. And then we're going to add 6 onto that. There's still a plus 6. Okay, now negative x is kind of bad. So I'm going to invoke the rule where we flip everything upside down. 2 becomes negative 2. Negative x becomes x. And 6 becomes plus negative 6. Alright. 6. Negative 6 and 6 are going to make a 0 pair. And that's what we want. We want x to be all alone. So we need to put 6 on each side. And 6 and negative 2 makes 4, x equals 4. Let's check our answer. We've got 2 equals 4 plus 6 minus 2 times 4. Now, 4 plus 6, that's going to be 10. But wait, let's do the multiplication first, right? PEMDAS. So 4 plus 6 minus 8. 4 plus 6 is 10. And we're going to subtract 8 from that. And that's 2. And that's true. So x equals 4 is the solution. Is the solution. There's only one solution. So it's not a solution, it is the solution. Alright, 85. I think this is the last one. We made it. So I'm going to do one where the answer is a fraction. That's going to be C. And then I'll do A. So I'll do A and C. Remember, you're doing all these. I'm just helping you out on half of them. Okay, we need to get the x on one side of the equation. So for this one, this is a negative x. I'm actually going to place an x tile on this side to form a 0 pair. Which means I need to place an x tile on the other side. So we have negative 3 plus 3x now, 3x tiles. And on this side, our 0 pair, those are gone. So we have 6 left. Okay, now we want to get x alone. So let's move over these negative 3 unit tiles. We can do that by placing 3 unit tiles on that side. That's going to make a 0 pair. So we're going to have 3 x tiles left over. On the other side, now there's 9. 6 plus 3 makes 9. Oops. And so now we need to divide both sides by 3. If you want to think about it in terms of piles, we've got 9 tiles on the right-hand side. and we need to split it into 3 equal groups. 3 equal groups. So each group will have 3 in it. And another way to think about it is you just divide both sides by 3. On the left side, 3 divided by 3 cancels out, becomes 1. And on the right side, that's 3. So x is equal to 3. To check our work, let's go ahead and substitute 3 in for x. So negative 3 plus 2 times 3 is equal to negative 3 plus 6. Do the multiplication first. 2 times 3 is 6. On the left side, we have negative 3. That's just negative 3 plus 6. You see how they're the same already. So guarantee that's the answer. 3, 3. So x equals 3 is the solution, because both sides match. And let's do C. For part C, this one's kind of weird. So what we're going to have to do first off is we need a 0 pair on the left side. We got negative x tiles. So I'm going to place 2 x tiles to form a 0 pair on each side. Now, this is going to completely vanish. So the left side is going to be empty, or it has 0 tiles on it. On the right side, we're now going to have 6 x tiles plus 9. All right, now we need to get x alone. So I'm going to place 9 negative tiles on this side. That'll make us a 0 pair. So I also need to put 9 tiles over there. So I have 0. I had nothing. Now I have negative 9, right? Because I have negative 9 little white tiles. Okay, and this is a 0 pair, so those are gone. So we have 6x. Now the tricky part about this is we got to split this into 6 groups. How do you split 9 into 6 groups? Well, you take 1 tile and a half of another tile, 1.5 tiles, that'll do it, right? 1 tile and a half, 1 tile and a half. 1 tile and a half, 1 tile and a half. So x is going to be equal to, and these are negative 1.5, or x equals negative 1.5, or as an improper fraction, x equals negative 3 over 2. Doing it the division way, dividing both sides by 6, cross off the 6's, x is over here, we have 9 over 6. Now if you divide the top and bottom by 3, 9 divided by 3 is negative 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So you get the same answer the division way. So I need to check my work, and I ran out of space. I'm going to do it over here. Negative 2x equals 4x plus 9. Negative 2 times negative 3 over 2. And then on the other side, you got 4, negative 3 over 2. So we're checking our work. Plug in x as negative 3 over 2. All right, now on the left side, you might need a calculator for this. You could think about it as, yeah, just use a calculator. The way I think about it is when you have a whole number times a fraction, you put the whole number over 1, and you multiply straight across the top. 2 times 3 is negative times negative, 6. And on the bottom, 1 times 2 is 2. Over here, put the whole number over 1, multiply straight across the top and bottom. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Over 1 times 2 is going to be 2. And we're adding 9 to that. Now, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 12 divided by 2, 6. And negative divided by positive stays negative. Turns out when you add 9 on to negative 6, you get 3. So we're good to go. X equals negative 3 over 2 is a solution. And that's our homework help video. This is due Friday.